Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Harmonious World, just a few days before Christmas 2025. The most beautiful piece of music. I'm talking to Laurent Ziliani about his composition Skybound, which is in honour of his dear friend Ben Powell, who was British, a British violinist. And I think it's a lovely way to celebrate Christmas. Not a Christmas song, obviously, but you know, this is really about a global idea. It's a global friendship, and some amazing musicians are on this track. What you're listening to is the opening of Skybound, and our conversation is about how that track got written and the meaning behind it. I hope you enjoy listening to my conversation with composer and pianist Laurent Ziliani. Thank you for joining me for Harmonious World. I'm really grateful that you're here to talk to me.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so Skybound.
Yes.
This is a lovely track, and I want you to explain to my listeners how it came about and why it's so significant.
Yes, I wrote this a couple of days after my old friend Ben Powell passed away. So Ben was a fantastic English and American violinist. He grew up near Birmingham, but I met him at Berklee College of Music when we went together. That's going to be almost 20 years ago now. And he was this incredible jazz violinist who could play like Grappelli, but also with a very strong classical background. So he was very polyvalent, very, very gifted, and with an incredible personality. And we became roommates after Berklee in LA for 5 years. And while we were there, he started to pick up flying. He was a pilot, and it was a fantastic time for me to have a session violin player at home as a composer, because anytime I had something to try out, or I just wanted to add a violin track quickly, I would just call him over, and because he was so good, in a few minutes we would have added a track, or I would have my question answer about my violin questions. So that was fantastic. And one day in particular, he took me flying over LA, and that flight was incredible, because as LA is so busy and full of concrete and noisy and full of traffic jams. Up there, I don't know how many thousands feet we were. I'm not very savvy with flying, but there was an incredible atmosphere and feeling of floating over the city in a sort of mist. And he was maneuvering his plane with so much grace, and it was so easy. It came so easy to him, and it felt like it's the way he was navigating through life. I look at him and I was like, he's so natural. He plays the violin the same way, and it had a very strong impact on me. And a few days after he passed away, I sat down on the piano and I wrote that track. And I tried to channel that memory in there, like the flying. And I added a couple of, by the end of the piece, I picture him entering through the gates of heaven, or whatever it is that lies beyond. And I let the piece rest for a few months. I wasn't sure what to do with it. And I was working on a big band album at the same time. So I think naturally I orchestrated for big band, and also because it was jazz. I don't know exactly, with the violin being featured. And it's not before February this year that I started to think maybe I should just record it. And I reached out to many of his friends who were incredible musicians. And many of them said, yes, let's do it. And we recorded it, I would say, pandemic style, which is most people did it from their own house or home studio and send the files over. And then we mixed everything. And that's about the how it came to be.
Right, it's a beautiful track. I mean, I love the big band arrangement, and you've got all sorts of things. You've got so Zach Zinger does saxes and alto flute and clarinet and everything, doesn't he? Obviously,
Oh,
multi-layers it.
oh yeah, he does every woodwind. Yeah, the bass clarinet, the all saxophones. He was incredible. And
Yeah, and then you've got Nicholas Daly on trombones and Carl
yes,
Newmaster on trumpet and flugels, and they've obviously all done lots of layers of parts,
exactly. Yes,
which is lovely. I think it's interesting because when the same player multi-tracks like that, you get a similar tone, which is really nice.
yes, yes. We talked about that, especially with Kyle, and how he has to change the mouthpiece to make sure that he has to. I mean, it's still the same instrument, it's still the same player,
Yeah,
and but you also don't want to have like little phasing. Well, I don't know exactly what it is, but
right.
you would it has to be similar enough and different enough that
Yeah,
it's organic. It's very it's very interesting, and I'm very happy with the result.
yeah. And obviously you've got Peter Erskine on drums, which is amazing.
Oh yes, it was so easy to work with him, and just I reached out to him. I wasn't sure he would be up for it. He did a couple of albums with Ben in the past, and he said yes right away. I said, of course, I'm very, very happy, honored to do it. And I was very touched, and you know,
Yeah, that's lovely. One of the things I really like is the violin at the end.
yes,
So Leah Zager, is it?
yes,
And that violin is just beautiful. And I think Ben would probably, you know, approve of her touch, her style.
yes. And Leah and Ben knew each other very well for many years. They played together, and we had meetings, and I mean, while he was my roommate, she often came over and we played, we jammed, and in the living room we had a living room full of many many instruments, and it was a wonderful place to do music. And I think she tried to, while keeping her great style, she tried to emulate a little bit of his touch and the little licks he would do that are inspired by his multifaceted musical culture and approach. So that was, I think, yeah, actually that's the first instrument I recorded live. I think it
Ah,
was like really, which is weird. I sort of did it from the top to the bottom, which is, the mixer was wonderful, so he made it happen wonderfully. But you would think you would do like so the background and then add the melody on top, but we did it backwards, but it ended up working. And yes, and for the very end of the piece, I think I tried to do that. To me, there's like a glissando harmonics that she plays at the end, and I was really picturing that the entrance, once he entered the gates of heaven, it's the dissolving of his soul into the ether, or whatever it is. I mean, I had this image when I
yeah,
thought it was something a little, he was transformed, transfigured, or so to speak.
yeah, very special. So you said that Ben was English.
Yes,
Is that right? So he was from England originally.
yes, absolutely. And his father still plays in the orchestra in Birmingham. So
Okay.
he comes from a family of musicians, and he still had, although he had lived 20 years in the US, a little bit like me, he never lost completely his accent. So
Yeah.
we had this house, and we had a third roommate for a long time too, who was German. So we had this house in Los Angeles with all these weird European accents.
Very good. Americans love British accent, especially, don't they? So,
Yes, they do. Yeah.
oh, that's brilliant. Oh, well, this is just such a lovely sort of reminder of a musician who I didn't know, but and it's just lovely to have this. And one of the things that I really like about sort of concepts like this is when the concept is really moving, but the music is beautiful as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
It's really his. Yeah, it the music came by itself. Really, it was. I
yeah,
think it was. It's Ben's music somehow magically passed on through. I don't know
yeah,
exactly. It was. It
yeah.
was. It was a very special.
That's really nice. I very rarely interview people about single tracks. Usually it's about an album, but I've just felt that this one was so special and it's going to be, just before Christmas, this episode is going to be released, which seems right, I think.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
Yeah. Do you want to just quickly tell me a little bit about your background? So you started off in France, um, as a pianist, is that right?
Yes, I studied music in the conservatory in France since I was little, so around 7 years old, and I did the whole, which is the classic training in France for musicians, conservatory after school. I had like going to middle school. We had the special classes where it's like half of the day it's dedicated to normal lessons for kids, and then the other half for conservatory. And it was really, really classical training. At the time, we're talking about 90s, really. So another century. And it was, but the training was a little bit too conservative to my taste because I absolutely adore classical music. Don't get me wrong, but it was really from, let's say, Bach to Debussy, Ravel, and not really, maybe Bartok occasionally. And it was never anything outside, except for one teacher who came later, who started playing anything Balinese music, which is interesting after mentioning Debussy, but um, you know, rock, Japanese, kabuki. It was so interesting and so eye-opening about what really music is. And he encouraged us from the start. He told us to compose music, to write music. It's like you don't need to. What I found before was like it was so intimidating to write music because I'm going to break. There are so many rules I have to follow. I don't know if I'm going to do it right, and then just like forget about it, write something, And it was so liberating. And I think later on, I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, and Berkeley was really the other side. It's like the American education is so, it's almost the polar opposite. It's like, it's a little bit like that teacher who was just like, write something, don't worry about the rest. And also the multicultural, I think that my favorite thing about Berkeley was there's
Yeah.
so many students coming from all over the world and they bring their own instruments. And then we are in a room and we jam and we try to make things happen, which sometimes very absurdly with weird instruments and our backgrounds. And it's very inspiring. And also I created a lifelong friendships. And so it was a very inspiring period. Also, they have a different structure and approach to harmony. And I think that really influenced heavily the way I wrote. I mean, it might not be the good thing, but I started writing thinking more vertically, if that makes sense, chord by
Yeah.
chord, which is, good and bad. But I think it's the jazz approach that's really a chord by chord, how you pull them to how you make how you cross this horizontal and vertical notions together. And it was a very interesting, and it changed, I think, my writing a lot.
Yeah. It's a wonderful place, and so many amazing musicians have come out of Berkeley, haven't they?
Yes, oh yes, absolutely. And it's and Ben in particular was so inspiring, and yeah, I encourage you to listen to his and your listeners to listen to his albums because they are incredible. The last two albums he did with Peter actually and Carl Saunders and so many wonderful musicians, like many of them are on Skybound. It's there's so much freedom and so much maturity. He was 38 when he passed away, which is a very young age, but he had so much experience and wisdom in his playing, which
Wow.
I think was what continued to inspire me for many years to come.
Yeah, well, I will definitely put some links into the show notes so that people can explore his music. So I think it's just a wonderful thing. So my intention is to play a little bit from the beginning at the start of the podcast and then the end after our conversation, because I think that ending is just beautiful. It's just stunning.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the trivia, there's like those chords. There's an open chord in trombone. There's a C chord, and I sort of got inspired. It's not exactly the same voicing, but it was listening to a lot to Mahler growing up, and the Song of the Earth, the very end, the last movement, the Abschied, the farewell, ends with those C chord of trombone. It's just tenth with the G in the middle, and those are like this. I felt that it really feels like the entrance to heaven to me. It was like really like it felt so mystical, and I tried to, should I say, borrow or that idea, and adding, of course, it's a Legion chord, so it's not very Mahlerish, but it's at least on an orchestration point of view, I think that's what I try to. That's where I come from.
Right, it is lovely. It's a really nice piece of music, and I'm really grateful that you've put it out into the world. So thank you, and thank you for talking to me about it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me for that episode of Harmonious World, and I hope you enjoyed listening to my conversation with Laurent Ziliani. All the links are in the show notes, and particularly to Ben Powell's music. But I'm wishing you a very happy Christmas wherever you are in the world. And thank you for joining me once more for Harmonious World. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.